going through all that, having two mentally disabled sisters, I think my earliest memories of like seeing other addicts was, seeing my stepbrothers die, from ODs or heroin use and stuff like that. But what really like just really angered me, and it just put me in a really like traumatic state that has been something that I've had to work on since, was when I was around 8 or 9 years old, and I had an uncle who attempted to molest me, and I talk about this all the time because I know that that's a lot of people's stories, and that's something that I've had to deal with through trauma. I went through all the phases of it, anger, shame, embarrassed, feeling not good enough, or, just being very aggressive, because of that particular moment that I didn't feel safe in my journey. And I remember when it happened, and it was extremely traumatic for me as far as like feeling safe, and just felt like nobody was gonna take care of me unless I took care of myself. And I'm not.
And your dad wasn't around.
Yeah, and I never met my real father. That's another story. Part of the story too. I've come to terms with that recently a lot, so that's why I kind of like glazed over that part, to be honest with you. It used to be very, very traumatic for me as well. The abandonment issues. And that particular part plays a big place in my romantic relationships, extremely. The way that I was parented, the lack of a parent, the way my mom parented me, really created a confused idea of what intimacy was. But going back to that particular issue, at that time I still didn't know that my stepfather wasn't my father too.
Wow.
Yeah, so at that time I still didn't know. So that situation happened. I was angry, and then I wanted to get away from these people, and then my aunt, told me that, hey, your real father is not your stepfather or whatever. And it kind of just opened up this wound that I didn't even know I had. It allowed me, it made me curious. I thought, hey, this guy's gonna save me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it?
How old were you?
Oh, at that point I was like 11. So I was going through those trauma issues, and then around 11 and 12, we were moving from New York to Central Florida. And, I had been like constantly asking, hey, I want to meet my real father. They had finally, discovered this number, said that they were going to let me speak to him. We ended up going to Central America. And I remember getting excited about to make this phone call. I made this phone call. And in that phone call, some lady picked up, and I was like, hey, looking for Mario. Has the same name as I do. She's like, he's not here. He's got to catch a flight tomorrow. But if you call back later, you'll catch him. And I was like, all right, tell him I'll call back. And then I waited all day. And in the evening, I got on the phone and got up, made the phone call. And when I made the phone call, the lady picked up the phone again. And when she picked up the phone, I was like, hey, is Mario home now? And she was like, yeah. And then she was like, who is this? And I was like, yo, this is his son, Mario. So then she muffled the phone, and in the background, I could still hear him say, who is it? In Spanish, right? ¿Quién es? And then she was like, es un muchacho que dice que es tu hijo. You know what I mean? Like, some kid saying it's your son. And I remember hearing him say, dile que no estoy. Tell him I'm not here. And at that point, he was like in my brain and my mentality. I know a lot of addicts got identified to this triangle of self-obsession, you know what I mean? This lack of self-acceptance, you know what I mean? And all these other things that I was, encountering as a young man at that period in time. I didn't have the skills. I didn't have the support, with my family to help me cope with that situation. And just felt extremely rejected and abandoned, at that moment, and dropped the phone. I remember just going out to like this a soccer field with some cats were just, playing, some older kids that I knew that were drinking. And I remember having my first drink. And that was like the first time that I had my encounter with like, a mind or mood altering substance. And, when I drank that alcohol was, it's crazy because it was euphoric, It was like when you press the light switch, right? Boom, it's working, Drink some alcohol, boom, it doesn't feel it anymore. But, you know, just like the light switch, you know what I'm saying, when you turn it, when it goes off, you know what I mean, it's dark, you know, and then you're just scrambling to try to look how to turn the light on again, boom, right? So then you get this false light because you never go outside, you know what I'm saying? And you don't live no more because you just
synthetic.
contain. It's synthetic, you know, and you know, and that was like the beginning, you know what I mean, of the fury of like feeling abandoned, feeling rejected, angry, you know, all these secondary emotions, you know what I mean? Because at the core of it.
How long did it take you to learn that?
Bro, yo.
Because like,
yo, I don't recommend my journey to nobody. When I say that, I don't mean it like don't see the progress and stuff. What I mean it is that, you know what I mean? Like everybody's journey is unique. Just look for the spiritual principles within those individuals, you know what I mean? Yo, if there's a couple ways to get to that destination, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like the roadmap is always gonna be the spiritual principles in my opinion. Yeah.